Ray, you were just getting in. Were you training or what were you doing?
Oh yeah, actually taught tonight. At
Oh yeah,
training, yeah. Thursday is always a long day of teaching.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is going on here? Stop. Okay. So let me unpeg this and we'll start here with the weekly. Okay, so the dollar index again, as always, because we know what the Fed's doing with the dollar. Dollar's always down on the long term. Short term, lately it's been up, and right now with the bulls in control, the dollar is up on the short term. Huge sell-off here on this past range here, and looks like it could potentially be in a retracement or following the uptrend line right here, as I have drawn on the short term. So we'll see what happens, but momentum is okay compared to prior candles. Doji here, some indecision, followed by a pretty large candle here. Hasn't finished forming yet, so we'll see what happens with that candle by the end of the day tomorrow. And so until tomorrow comes, we won't know. So until then, we'll just draw our supply and demand lines right here. And let's see. So that's it for the weekly. Okay, so the daily is much of the same. Overall trend is down. Um, Here we have the bulls in control here. Right here, it's kind of a doji-esque candle right here, so which makes me believe that there could be potential resistance right here. And so our support is right there. And so for the short term, what we have here is, it looks like if you draw another trend line up here, short-term trend is up. Right here you have higher highs, higher lows from the previous. Here's a higher low, higher high right here. And so with this candle then, this is kind of a critical spot right here because here's where I drew my supply line. And so price is testing this right now. It's testing here and it's also testing right here about in that range. And so where it moves in the next day is going to kind of determine where the major markets and currencies are going to move to. So to draw a fib, so here's our low right here. I'll draw this. Can't draw it up to here, so I'm just kind of describing fibs as the education process. So you can't draw it to here because it's way past that level. So go up to the next high right here. Okay, so I'm drawing up to this high because the candle before that, which is right over here, is not higher than this high. So I'm going to leave it there. And we're going to use this as our levels for right now. So here's the 38% and the 50 and 62% right here. If it chooses to go past the 38%, which it's testing right now, and it looks like if you zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see a little bit of bearish movement right here. It's just slightly red, so we'll see what happens with this. And it could potentially move past the 38% and go to the 50%. If it does, we're at the high resistance here, right, which is this level. And so if it does that, then potentially it could pass that and go to the 62%. and move past the 62%, and we could go to the next level of supply, which would be either right here or, let's see, probably right here. That's the next high on this chart. And so these are our levels right here in our numbers. So that's pretty much it for the daily. So, and if it doesn't, then it's going to go and break through this uptrend line and continue down. And our next level on the downside is right here at the 79.51 mark, and also at here at 78.99 mark, and at the very bottom 78.93. So those are our levels. Okay, then going on to news, Forex Factory for swing trading. Somebody mentioned in the email today that when you're swing trading, don't just look at the news for the tomorrow, look at the news for the entire week. So today is Thursday, the 25th of October. So we need to fast forward to 26, and Saturday's an off day. So for the dollar, we have the advanced gross domestic product. And let's see, for that we have, what I'm doing, I'm just checking the previous here. So the previous was negative 1.3%. It's bearish or in the red. And I believe this is the forecast. It is 1.9%. So it's 0.6% higher on the forecasted on gross domestic product. We'll see what it actually is. That's going to be announced tomorrow, Friday, October 26th at 8:30 a.m. And so that's all we have for the rest of the week. New news hasn't been produced yet for the next week following, so we'll go to Bloomberg and check market data. Let's see here. And let's skip this. Okay, so markets are half and half right now, it looks like. So with the indexes, major indexes, the American indexes are currently bullish, and with the European and Middle East and African indexes are kind of half and half. That negative 0.29% for the Euro Stoxx 50, and for the Deutsche Börse AG German is plus 0.10%. And then for the Asian Pacifics are all bearish at roughly about negative 1.5% on average. Okay, and then going to futures. Futures markets are bearish right now at 0.8% to anywhere to, actually the low is 0.4% on the Euro Stoxx, and then the high of that is negative 0.23%. So that's it for the macro fundamentals. Hello?
Hello? Hey Jason.
Yeah?
So on your analysis for a dollar chart, which way would you trade it on the daily chart for dollar? Just for tomorrow's sake.
Oh, so for the daily?
Yeah.
If I was to trade with a dollar, I'd be bullish, obviously right here. Right? I don't know. This, okay, so here's why I say that. Okay, so let me clean some of this up and not look at any of these here. Delete all those test studies. Yes. Okay, so if we look at this, that's all we really need, right? It's an uptrend line. Bulls are clearly in control all the way up here. Okay, and you have price action pushing down, trying to set a new low or trying to push down to the downside, and it just doesn't want to because I think that it's pretty much oversold. So the bull's still in control within this 4-day range, and so there's a good possibility that this is going to push up to the upside up to here. So on the daily, I would say that the dollar is going to be, from what I'm looking at right now, is going to be bullish.
Got it, thanks.
Um, in regards to the futures, the futures are down 0.8%. So what does it mean as well then?
Okay, so if the futures are down 0.8%, then that means the dollar index is on its upswing. So um, as we look at that, here are futures. Here's the Dow Jones futures at down 0.8%, and which kind of makes sense because the dollar index is up, right? So the major currencies and the major indexes will be down when the dollar index is up. And right now, if you can see right here, bulls are in control, just slightly, but they still are.
Gotcha. So how about you, Ann? What's your viewpoint of the dollar?
My viewpoint is that at the moment, like if you look at yesterday's, the day before's candle, and then also the supply area, it's actually struggling to break the 80-20 price area. So it really needs to break that supply level before it can go further. So if it breaks today, that supply area, then yes, it will be strong, and then it will go and create a new higher high today or even next week. But if it doesn't want to break that, then I can see this still probably doing another hitting off the uptrend line. So it may just go up and down until if it breaks the uptrend line, then good, then it will then go to the downside, and then the markets will reverse. But at the moment, it's just hitting on that supply area, and I just can see it's just struggling to hit that, break that supply at the moment.
Right, so
All
if
right.
we look at the momentum on these candles, like, okay, so if I draw on the high right here, and then here's pretty much our level right here, right? And then I can't really draw on the close right here with Netania. But if you were to draw a price line right here at the close of here, and at the close of here, right here at this point, and at the close of here at this point, you can see momentum start to slow down. Okay, and it just and what that means is that it's losing buyers because they're looking at this range right here and they're saying, well, it's kind of, you know, it's getting to a point where it might be a little too expensive to keep moving. And I know in my initial analysis I said that, you know, well, the buyers are in control, so you can potentially see a continued movement up to the upside. But, you know, there's always two sides to the story. So, I mean, you know, here's our range, and momentum is obviously slowing down right here. So tomorrow's going to be kind of a big day.
Okay, so what's your viewpoint still there then?
Well, just looking at momentum slowing down, I would say that it's hitting resistance right here. So I say it has a very good chance of slowing down.
How about you, Kevin?
It's hard for me to say.
What's your play?
Can I take a look at the weekly chart for a bit?
It's in a range. You see, here's our range. That's why I drew the supply and demand line right here, and it's just moving within this range within the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Right, so it's a pretty good amount of time.
It's currently demand level uptrend. On the weekly, go back to daily.
Is it on demand or is it in supply right now? If you look at this
Demand,
range,
demand
Demand?
level on a week level. Yeah,
Demand on the weekly?
correct. Yeah, demand.
no, I would say this is supply right now.
How could it be a demand at the moment?
Well, the whole range from for the past 6 candle are all demand level. It's like is a range of demand, I would say. But if you're talking about that range, just that range alone, currently it's at the supply level of the range.
Right, at the current candle, I would say it's at supply.
Yeah, I guess supply level, the whole range, it's still demand for me currently. But yeah, Okay, supply level.
Oh, you're looking at you're looking at the entire. No, I can't draw a square on this, but this whole box right here,
Oh no no, I'm just talking about the past 6 candle.
right here.
Yeah.
Okay, look.
Then, would you consider February all the way to May a range of demand as well then?
February to May.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Feb right here.
So all the highs, where
Um,
that significant line.
February to March will be a demand. Pretty much.
So
Yeah.
then how
Just generally
about
speaking. Just generally speaking.
April or May?
April and May.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not that clear cut, but there's demand and also supply level as well due to the candle's size, the size of the candle. But okay, we could talk
What about right
on
now?
that terminology. Okay, that's the supply level, but there's no clear breakout yet. So okay,
There is
that
right
works too.
here. Here's a breakout right here.
I'm talking about the current candle.
Oh,
Current candle, yeah. Okay. So
but if you look right here, you have
So what has to happen in order for the supply to be broken? Because it cannot be on a demand, it cannot be in an area of demand because it's just too big of a range, right? The middle line, the 79.30, 79.35.6, that's mainly the equilibrium area from the major demand of about 78.60. So it's 50, like it's a 50-50 range between the two.
yeah,
Um,
so I see what you
so
mean.
now that 79.35 is, everybody will say that is a resistance that's now being used as support, right? So, however, if you talk to supply demand traders, that 79.35 is a good strong demand because it didn't want to drop 3 or 4 times in a row, pretty much.
Mhm.
Okay, so the weekly is not over yet. We have one more day, and it can happen tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, the price can drop all the way down to 79.75. But if it doesn't want to, depending on what the news is going to be tomorrow, it can break 80.20. It can stop just where it is. It can drop to 79.75, 79.50. It could do anything, right? So, however, just looking at the current candle, who's in control at the moment? The bulls or the bears?
The bulls clearly. That's a strong candle.
Okay, the bulls are currently in control. Let's go back to the daily. So, bigger time frame has a bigger, stronger weight than smaller time frame. Currently, if you look into as of the 17th of October, the bulls are in control. We have a consolidation, minor correction, 79.50. The bulls, another impulse, and then stabilization, then slight impulsive to the upside, and we don't know whether this is going to go further or not. But definitely, I do both agree with everybody that it's struggling to go to the 80-20. Now, if you combine all those bars all together, that will create the bullish bar on the weekly, right? So as far as we're concerned, it could be stabilize itself, correct itself, and it can continue to go further to the upside. Now, it all depends. Now, if the futures are strong, like it's more than 100 points and it's only 11:23 Pacific Standard Time, 2:23 Eastern Standard Time, your odds and probability that it will drop massively tomorrow is very high, right? So if that happens, then you're going to see more drop off the marketplace, the major currencies tomorrow, and
With an increase in the dollar.
you will see that price bring through the 80.20 and reach about the 80.42. Okay, so that would be the next step. But if it doesn't want to, depending on what the news is currently happening after the Asian market. So why did the Asian market then drop more than to 2% even? Everything is on the red in the Asian market. What caused the marketplace to drop today in the Asian market? So there's really nothing that's showing right there. You have the yen on the positive side, you have the kiwi 17.2, that's pretty much it. But what caused the Hang Seng and the SPY to drop? Look at that.
News on Amazon and Apple.
Go through the index, please. Well, Dow Jones finished 26 points up, 0.2 to the upside, right? And if you look at Nikkei, 1.26%. You have Hang Seng, 1.18%. Shanghai, 3.2%. So what caused those markets to drop? Because it's got nothing to do with Amazon or Apple. Because in order
It's some
for
kind of news. It was news that did that.
okay, so what's the news then? So why did it drop?
Well, Apple and Amazon reported after hours, and I saw NASDAQ drop quite considerably after hours. So I don't know if that's a snowball to the Asian market as well.
Well, in order to be objective, we need to really find out what happened in the Asian market, right? So what really caused the markets then to drop such massively, significantly? So ASX 200 is 0.85%. So, and anything. If you go back to home, you should be able to see some form of summary of the news. Asian stocks fall, yen climbs after Apple earnings, oil declines, so oil, what else?
Oil declines.
Okay, if Apple basically dropped, then what does it mean then to the supply and demand in Asia as well then?
That it will drop too.
So if you click on that news, on the top headline, they will state a little bit. Okay, China's Unicom Hong Kong, Apple will join companies posting results that miss analyst estimates. All decline. Japan's yen climbed from a 4-month low. So it's got to do, one is mainly oil. Apple. Okay, so that could affect, definitely, that's probably the Chinese economy. But with such just one company to cause a big drop. Hey, Samsung. Okay, so it's got to do a lot with the tech sector. Nikkei, Korea, conditions. So there's a little bit of some fear being created, right? All right, so mainly the tech sector. Tech sector basically dropping significantly. All right. Okay, so which caused then the yen to come back up, and also the dollar to come back up a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, then we're gonna expect a little bit of a negative then with the marketplace tomorrow, depending on what the GDP, advanced GDP, will occur at 8:30 tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, it can tank, have a gap, then out of nowhere, you can fill that gap, and you can continue to go to the upside. We have Spanish unemployment rate today, so we got to be aware of that one. 3 o'clock in about half an hour. All right, sweet. So let's go through then, since it's 11:29. All right, Jason, click on just two pairs, just daily and 4-hourly, 1 hour. Then we'll go through as well with Dan and with Kevin.
Okay, so let's see.
Okay, let's use method 1 for now.
Okay, so for the daily, then we have overall trend is up, and kind of looks like here on the near term, it's in the range. So here's our range. Equilibrium is right about here, and so that's for the daily. So long term's up, short term's neutral, kind of like. So not kind of like, it is neutral. So and then going to the 4 hour. So if we look at 4 hour. So overall trend is up here, and short term is down. Okay. So no really setups right now because it's coming off of supply. Right here. Here's our level of demand. It's broken past that. It's on its way down. Kind of missed that trade. So going on to the 1 hour. And much the same, overall trend is down with lower lows and lower highs. Here's our range. Right here, not really a range, it's broken past the level of demand and is on its way down. And so for let's see, I'm trying to think. I'm just kind of stuck at where to draw the retracement at with this. It's got a lot of strong momentum going to the downside, but as far as establishing targets, I'm a little confused with that.
Okay, if it chooses to drop, where will be the next floor?
So if we were to draw our next levels, so going from here, it'd be probably about this range. It's always a range, it seems like, right here.
Perfect. Okay, so around that area, if it chooses to drop, right? So
Correct.
there's another approximately about 30 to, yeah, probably 30 pips to the downside. Okay, that
Yeah,
you can make money on. However, it broke through the last low. So where is the last low of the trend?
The last low of the trend is probably right about here on this line.
No.
Oh, wait. Right here?
Which one's that? Where is the last one? Perfect.
Right here.
Okay, so then that means that it's a continuation of an uptrend or downtrend?
Of a downtrend, and we can't count this, even though this low is pushed down here, because this candle's still forming.
Why not?
But
Why can't you count that low?
because the candle's not done forming yet. So until it is finished forming and the next candle starts to begin, then we can't count this as valid, because technically, if we know that anything can happen, it could continue to push down.
All right, correct. However, it did break the last low, right?
It did.
So regardless of whatever the closing price will happen, the low has been established to break the last low. Then that means there's a continuation of the trend. So what are the odds and probability then that it can continue to go to 28.98, 28.90?
So you're saying no matter what, because it already pushed down past it, so nothing can change that because it already did it. So no matter what happens where it closes, it's already broke past this low.
Yes, because who pushed the price to break 29.19?
Who did? The institutions.
Yeah, institution sellers, right? Then who supported the low of that current bar?
Who supported the low right here?
Mm-hmm.
Institutions did.
Institutions, perfect. So, it takes a lot of a big buy in order to support that price. But since it also broke the last low, it's a continuation of the downtrend, right? So it's lower low. And somewhere, sometime in the future, that will break. Prices will drop further. The reason is because that 29, 15 or 16, what's the low of that current bar, please?
Right here, the low
Yeah.
is 29.14.
Yeah, 29.14. Do you find that as a strong support?
Not really, because all the support is right here
Mm-hmm.
and down here.
Exactly. So if it's such a weak support, then your odds and probability that it can go through on that strong support between the range of 28.98 and 28.90, which is an 8 pip difference, is more than likely to take a breather, and that's where it's going to support itself. So, in other words, if you're looking at it, since we have a new lower low, what has to create then?
New lower high.
New
So
lower
it's
high?
gonna swing, come back up here. Maybe
Not
up to this
necessarily. Then if that would be the case, then it would break the last high. And once that last high will be broken, it's no longer a downtrend within that
level.
short-term downtrend, right?
Yeah.
Then that will then continue to go further about the 29.70 to touch that trend line the downtrend line that you created, that
So
area.
it can't move past this because otherwise it would be a break in trend. So it has to come up somewhere between there and here.
Yeah, I mean it can. The market will do whatever it wants to do. It can
Right.
break the 29.53, but if it breaks the 29.53, then that short-term downtrend from approximately 9:876, 6 o'clock in the morning. So show me where is the last biggest high. Where is the last biggest high of the trend? Now
Right here.
no.
Right.
Yeah, put a circle into that, please. Okay, that's the biggest last high of the major downtrend. And you have a short-term downtrend. Where is your short-term downtrend? Where is your
Short-term
last
downtrend.
high?
Okay, so for that would be last high is right here.
All right, perfect. Okay, so a trend has mini trends, correct? It doesn't go just drop in a straight line. So that means that if you draw a very steep downtrend, we will be able to project where. So if you click on where that's it. There it is. Then it has to, if it chooses to retrace itself, then it needs to break that short-term downtrend all the way to 29.53 or less. Because if the high price, when it starts to correct itself, is still below the 29.53, that will still be considered as a continuation of the downtrend of that short-term downtrend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it hasn't broken past any of the other previous highs, which makes it a downtrend because it has lower highs.
Yes. So if it chooses to correct itself all the way to 29.53 or below, then that will be the best price of shorting this guy. At the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in a row, based on the 1 hourly chart, created new lower lows. At one point in time, this has to correct itself, like what it did from 1800 onwards to create from 29.31 to 29.53. Then now having new lows, you will see a stabilization process, going to retrace probably all the way to 29.42 or 29.53. Then it will make a decision whether it will break 29.53 to go beyond and touch your secondary downtrend all the way to 29.80, right? That's if it chooses to. So there's the scenarios that you basically can create, but overall it's still a downtrend. But can you trade in between the shorter downtrend? Absolutely, and you can make approximately about 30 pips to the upside, and even about approximately 30 plus and about 40, 50 pips to the upside even, right? If it chooses to go to the upside.
Right.
And because if you notice the current closing price now, there was a lot of buying pressure currently all the way from 29.148 to 29.30. That's also showing that price, in terms of price action, buyers are not willing to drop within that area on that 29.30. However, with such a big long tail, the price will retest that area on that long tail all the way to 29.15, guaranteed, right? So, because at the moment sellers are in control, but shorter term buyers are trying to push the price up, supporting that area, and if it chooses to correct itself, it can go all the way to 29.50. That would be a best price of selling once again. So at the moment, I am not bullish with the euro, and even yesterday, based on method 3, I actually shorted it. Sold most of it. I only have one contract left. But it is not ripe yet in order to go long, in my own personal opinion. So there's still something going on, but for the moment, don't go long, right, in terms of longer term. Shorter term, in terms of a momentum type of trading, there is a probability that it may correct itself before it can continue to drop further. Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
It's
right.
kind of evident right here too, because it's just look at all these candles here are all bearish, and then when we did our analysis on the dollar, I mean it's bullish, right?
Yes. And so it has to go the other way.
Right.
Alrighty. Next
Hey,
page. Yes.
Ray, while we're on it,
Mhm.
when does you see that trend line, that dotted trend line that you guys were talking about, where there's a lower high and there's a brick in it? When do you consider there's a change in the trend, a brick in the trend line, or a brick in the lower high, or
What's a brick?
Yes.
as in currently there's the current candle, the low is lower than the previous low.
Yes.
It's lower than this low.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Yes, but we're talking about based on the trend line. So that, and I guess the previous one.
This one?
No, the previous one.
The
So
previous
the
one.
previous swing low.
Okay.
It's also lower
right
than the
here.
previous swing low. No, the next one.
This one.
Put
left here.
square. Yeah. Put square rather than oval. So we would be able to identify that low. Okay. Well, to make things objective, an uptrend is a series of
Higher highs and higher lows.
higher highs, higher lows, and downtrend is a series of
Lower lows and lower highs.
lower lows, lower highs. Okay, so from that square, on the first square, from what Jason did, and you have and then draw the last low.
The last low.
Yes.
So not the swing low, but just the last low in general.
See that last
So
low
it's
of
this
that
one.
trend, yes. Okay, now do me a favor, do 1, 2, and 3. So the current low is 1. Put a number in it. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Put
Okay,
number
and
1
then-
inside the box just to make it clearer. And
Okay.
then 2. Great. And then 3. Okay. So is number 1 lower compared to number 2?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Number 1 is lower than number 2.
I need 3 more to make things objective.
Yes,
Anthony.
it's lower.
Oh yes.
Okay. Hi, Anthony. Do you agree?
That number 1 is lower?
Yes, than number 2.
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Okay, is number 2 lower compared to number 3? Can you
It
put the number?
looks,
Can you put the
it
number
looks,
3? Can you put the number 3 below that actual low itself? Yeah.
so, okay, from what I'm looking at right now, I mean, I can look at it and guess, but to make it more objective, we'll look at low is 29.25, and this low is 29.19. So this low is lower, 3 is lower than 2.
So is 2 lower compared to 3?
No.
No.
That's
No.
2. 3. One more. Anthony, is 2 lower compared to 3?
No, it's higher.
Excellent. All right. Now, is 1 lower compared to 3?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So if 2 is higher compared to 3, would that be a down movement or an upward movement?
It's upward.
Upward.
Upward. If 1 lower is lower compared to 3, is it a downward movement or upward movement?
Downward.
Down.
Down. So therefore, which is the strongest out of the whole 3? 1, 2, or 3?
It would be 1.
Strongest in terms of what?
Momentum.
In terms
To the
of
upside or
break
downside?
to the
Breaking the trend?
downside. To the downside.
downside?
Yeah.
Oh, so 1, of course.
Yeah. So what is the overall trend then?
Down.
Down.
Okay, then if the overall trend is down, breaking number 2, and if we establish that number 1 is not as strong compared to 129 or 128.80 and so forth, then what are the odds that they will continue to drop that further sometime in the long run today? And
It's
Sorry, say
possible.
that question again.
I would-
What are the odds that what are going to happen now?
that the price will drop, because if we've established earlier that number 1 is weak, it is not strong as a form of support, because what's the definition of a support? Once again, a support is what?
More
Support
buyers
is-
than seller. Therefore,
it's another word for demand, a level of demand.
yeah, that works too.
What is a support?
The buying pressure exceeds the selling pressure overall,
Okay, so
which creates a demand.
which creates a demand. So in other words, who is supporting the particular price, buyers or sellers?
The buyers.
Bias.
Buyers, right? Now, if we have established that the low of number 1 is weak. Why? Because if you look in the past, there is not really enough supporters or buyers to support that particular price. And where did we establish a much stronger support area? At what price? It was at 128.95 to 98, correct? So
A
if you
bit lower.
if you minimize your screen now, Jason, and if you now include all your support lines, hence the terminology support line and support, and a lot of people use. So you have now mainly simply an area of demand, which are all your support right there within those areas. Now the question is, what are the odds and probability that the price will drop all the way to 28.98, 28.96, 28.89 somewhere sometime in the future?
If it continues on its current trend, then I'd say it's highly probable.
What are the odds and probability that it will continue its trend?
Very high.
The problem is this current candle doesn't have much momentum. It did. I know what you're saying. It did break.
Yeah, but what
You
are
know,
the
these
odds?
portals.
My question is, in the future, I'm not saying the next hour, 3 hours, 2 hours for that matter. I'm saying in the future, and that future could
Oh,
be in the next 15 hours, in the next 24 hours, in the next 48 hours.
I'd say pretty good.
So if you're driving a car, do you guys look at the road that's just mainly 1 feet in front of you, or do you look
No.
what is ahead of you?
You have to look what's ahead to know where you're going.
You see, this is the problem of a lot of traders because, most traders will only look at what's currently happening right now and on the next one or two screens, probably at the next bar or so. They don't look on what's really ahead when they're trading, when they're analyzing technical analysis,
Yeah.
right? So if the market is just dropping, does the market drop in a straight line?
No, never does. Never.
So if it doesn't, then what does the market have to do then?
That's to oscillate.
So what does it have to do? If it oscillates, what it has to do?
It has to go through a correction wave first, and then it goes through its motive wave and comes back down.
So what is a wave? What is a correction?
A retracement. So
What is a retracement? What is a correction? What is an oscillation? What is it?
In terms of laws, or in terms of, I don't know.
In terms
I
of
don't-
trends.
Right.
So
So
a
if it's,
stabilization point.
right. So if it's creating higher highs
Come
and higher
on,
lows.
come on. You have to think, right?
So it's a downtrend. So
Yeah.
because look, you have your high right here, then you have your next lower high right here, then you have your low and your lower low here.
And so what is the next then? What he has to do?
It has to make a lower high.
Bingo. That's what the answer I'm looking for. It's so easy,
So-
right? Straightforward. So if it creates a lower high, you can specifically know where the lower high is going to create.
Right, and then we make the
Okay.
next lower low.
The
Huh?
low high
Not-
breaks the trend line, so that's not
No,
good anymore.
not yet. Not yet. When is a trend line going to be broken? Not necessarily that it can break the trend line as yet.
I'm talking about the secondaries. If the secondary breaks, it's very high probability it goes to the primary. So you don't want to go short no more.
However, it's like an if and then statement when you're programming. It needs to break a certain area though before it can be confirmed as a total break of the downtrend. So what has to happen in order for the downtrend to be really, really broken?
It has to break the primary downtrend line, which is
Nope.
over here.
Has to break their previous swing lower high. Yeah,
Which is now
1.296 something.
1.296. So the circle.
Well, that's circled in red.
Perfect. Now, can you please put an H for now for me, please, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So if it creates a new lower low, a lower high needs to be created. But if it chooses to go the price further, now, if we're saying that the secondary downtrend has been broken and it creates a new high, which is now a lower high from the previous high, then it will touch a certain area of supply, and that supply would be what? At what price?
So just looking, and we can bring this back a little bit.
Expand it a little bit, please, and you can actually really see it through there.
More?
Expand, not contract. Yeah, there.
Okay.
Got it, yeah.
So
Bingo. Okay, but 29.43, pretty much around that area, right? And if it chooses to not to break that line, then it has to create a new what?
high.
It's not creating a new high. If the price goes to that price at 29.43, what has to happen now?
It has to retrace back temporarily to the upside.
Temporarily to the upside or to the downside?
Well, it's overall moving to the downside, but it has to make a corrective wave to the upside temporarily at the 29.43 mark before it can come back down.
Okay,
So
great.
these
Right.
are
All right.
low.
So put another square to create a new low. What happens to the low in order for the trend line, the secondary trend line, to be broken? Is the low going to be lower compared to number 1, or is the low going to be higher compared to number 1?
If it continues on its downtrend, the low of this square will be lower compared to number 1.
Okay, I'll take that on board. However, Kevin also stated that, but if it breaks the secondary downtrend, then the trend has been broken. If the trend has been broken, then the low should be what?
If the trend is broken, then
So, and Anthony, Kevin, you guys can jump in at any time.
If the trend has been broken, then the low has to be higher than number 1,
All
which
right.
is where the circle is at the moment.
Okay,
right,
who
because
agrees?
it's a reversal. So basically, it's going to do this, right? You're going to start seeing higher highs. But it hasn't broken yet, though. So how do you know it's going to turn?
Well, this is the projection that we're trying to establish, right? This is where now you're driving your car, like I asked before. Do you drive your car and you look what's only that's in front of you, but a foot in front of you, or do you look ahead of you?
You always have to look ahead.
You always have to look ahead. So this is what we're trying to do, is try to look ahead on where it can go, right? Mm-hmm. Right, so if the low is going to be higher compared to be number 1, can you please put a number 4 in there?
Where number 1 is?
Nope, on the new box.
This one.
Yeah, delete just one box, please.
Okay.
Okay, number 4 is way too...
Yeah, it's too far, yeah.
Yeah, you need to
let me move it real quick. Here we go.
Just more to your right a little bit. And so, in other words, number 4 definitely has to be higher compared to number 1. Because if number 4 will be lower compared to number 1, then what happens then?
If number 4 is higher compared to number 1?
Your oval, don't move it over there, Jason. Leave it in between, yeah, there, because it has to create a lower low, lower high, lower low.
Okay.
So if number 4 will become lower compared to number 1, what happens now with the trend?
Continuation of the trend.
It is continuous.
Yeah.
That's right, because it's still you still have a lower low because number 4 is now down.
Okay.
Lower before.
Okay, if 129.27, 129.25 will be a good area of support or area of demand, as we call it, and it starts to rebound, and it breaks 129.41, and it breaks 129.50, and it breaks the high of that circled H that we put in, then that's where now we are going to see as an uptrend of short uptrend within the bigger picture of the downtrend. Okay, so then it will go through all the way to 129.75. So in other words, if you can now just imagine going high, low, high, low, high, low, high, all the way to 129.76.75.
Like this.
If it doesn't want to break 129.75, then what will happen then? It will continue to drop all the way back down to 128.89, around that area. But it will take time, right? So now you can see through here approximately October 28. Well, 20, that's the weekend. So it can continue to go up, or if it doesn't want to do that, now your option, it will drop all the way down to 128.95, 128.89. Okay, so what did we just do there as an exercise?
Basically just forecasted price action.
That's it, pretty much, giving you a lot of options, right? So options in where they can go. It can go up within that barrier, or it can go all the way down back to 128.96. So you have an option. You can trade going long as a day trade type of environment, or you can wait and then you can short it at 129.75. If you're still believing that it can go further down to the downside. Why? Because we already noticed that in terms of macro fundamentals, the dollar index has a probability that it can go further, because why? Looking at the weekly chart, the bulls are just way too strong. Then if that means then that can it really go to 129.75? Maybe, maybe not. But what are the odds that in order for it to go through there, it needs some form of momentum in order to go to about 129.75. But if it doesn't have any momentum, that guy will tank to the downside. So it's midnight, and look at that. It's just bouncing back up all the way, currently 129.25.
Right. So what I get out of this then on my analysis is if someone was to